Lisa King. And Lisa is the founder and CEO of Eat My Lunch. Is that right? It sounds like a very grand title.
It is.
So tell me, you come from a marketing background, right? And so you started out in FMG, is it?
FMCG marketing.
FMCG, what is it? Oh, I don't know what that means. But anyway, you went to Fonterra and now you've launched this new venture, which seems to be going really well. Do you want to tell us about it?
Sure. So Eat My Lunch was launched about 16 months ago, actually.
So
it's
it's
still
only been 16 months.
a little baby startup.
Still in nappies.
Yes,
But
very
it's
much.
doing pretty well.
Yeah, and I think, you never know how these things are going to go.
You
but,
don't.
The
So
public,
why did you decide you were going to do this? You could have stayed in Fonterra and had a safe career.
Yeah, I think it just got to a point where I felt like I just wanted to use my skills to do something a bit more meaningful and to give back. And, I feel I've had a really privileged upbringing. My parents bring me here to New Zealand and having the opportunity and access to
Where
education.
did you come from?
So I was born in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And
How old were you when you came?
my parents brought us here when I was about 2.
Oh my goodness, so you were just a little baby.
Yeah.
But people say to me, oh well, you came when you were so young. But the reality is you're still brought up by Chinese parents.
And they were very strict and traditional
Were they?
Chinese parents.
And so you were a girl, and what were girls supposed to do, Lisa? Become a doctor?
It was
You went to the marketing, what the hell is that?
Fortunately, I was the second one, and my sister's become the doctor.
Oh,
so
what a
she had the
surprise.
pressure of
Actually,
that.
it was so funny because my older sister was visiting last night, and she is a doctor. So
Yeah.
Chinese families don't actually very much, do they?
No.
And in fact, it's so funny because my grandmother said to me, I can't believe it. You're telling me your grades were good enough that you could have become a doctor? You're nuts. Why did you become a lawyer? Never mind. So,
Yeah, so she became the doctor.
So it's just 2 girls in the family?
3 girls and 1 boy.
Oh, wow. When was the boy much loved,
Oh,
Lisa?
very much so.
And was he the last one too?
He was the last one.
Lisa. Well, at least I was the last one. They gave up after me. But, it's just, oh my goodness, he must be mollycoddled to you. So what does your brother do?
He now lives in Antwerp teaching hockey. So
Oh,
whatever he wants to do.
I see. Oh, so he wasn't required to be the doctor?
No.
Okay. And what were you required to be?
I think I was encouraged actually by my parents. They had their own business when they came.
Okay.
They did the typical, I think,
Entrepreneurial thing.
Entrepreneurial thing.
Bigger life.
Opened up a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, okay.
It was called Hong Kong Seafood Restaurant. It was on the corner of Market Road and Great South Road.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a really long time ago.
Yes.
And neither of them actually knew how to cook.
Oh, that's a shame.
But it was still a very successful restaurant, and then after that, they opened up next to it a health clinic for Chinese medicine.
And that was successful, wasn't
And
it?
that was really successful. It was one of the first, so
Yes.
they must have done it like over.
So actually
Yeah.
you had a role model for starting a business?
Very much so. And when, as we were growing up, my parents always encouraged me to actually go and start my own business
Oh,
and not
excellent.
work for anyone else. And I kind of saw it all as very hard work and rebelled against that.
But you see, what you say now is you were right. And are they very proud of you?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's
and-
neat.
Yeah. So.
It's exciting. It's great, Lisa.
But it's having that corporate experience has really helped to kind of set up Eat My Lunch
Sure.
in the way that it has.
So where's it going to be in 5 years' time? If you survive it. Are you getting any sleep? Startups are tough.
It's really tough, and it's definitely the hardest job I've had.
Well, because it's your own, and also you have to create it. Remember, there was a blank space, and then Lisa breathed, and it was created. But if you don't create it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and then I think the responsibility of we now have like 25 staff, and
you're responsible for their mortgages.
Yeah, and their livelihoods, and also all the kids that we're feeding. So we're feeding about 1,400 kids a day.
Wow.
So
Okay.
you can never
So when was
stop.
the last time you had a holiday?
I haven't had one yet. I'm going to take one in February.
Oh, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
And even then you're going to have to worry just to make sure everything's done while you're away.
Yeah. It's hard to leave and step aside for a while.
Well, it's hard because at the moment, you're a big part of the arms and legs of the business, I think. Yeah. And what are you learning in doing this entrepreneurial work?
Been really interesting that you inject so much of yourself along with your values and what you believe in, and that kind of almost becomes the personality of the business.
That is absolutely true. And tell me, what impact does it have that you're a Chinese woman? Do people look at you and say, and who owns this business? Who started it up? and go to the man in the room. Oh, could you just take my coat and hang it up? I mean, do people underestimate you? Do they say, oh, so you started the business?
Yeah, I think there is definitely an element of surprise, and I've had that throughout my whole career. In the corporate world, where most of my bosses were men, and they might come into a room and not even address you, even though you're leading the project or you're the brains behind everything. And I think people don't quite get that I'm a lot older than I possibly look, and that also works against
when you
me.
get a lot older, it will all of a sudden become an advantage.
Yeah.
But I must say that when you're younger, it's not that much of an advantage.
No, and even now, when I tell the story, and I've got 2 kids who are 9 and 7, and people look at me and they're like, "You've got children."
Oh, Lizzie, that's so funny. I'm just laughing because, of course, it's all happened to me. And in fact, when I first started the law firm with Jeffrey Partner, I had glasses, you see, and I was going to get contact lenses because I play a lot of sport. And I took my glasses off, and he said, "Oh God," he said, "put your glasses back on." He said, "You look even younger with your glasses off. At least if you've got your glasses on, you look sort of serious."
Yeah.
And so for years, I wandered around with these glasses to try and look older, which is ridiculous, of course.
Yeah. So, and it has been interesting being, the founder, and subsequently with Michael Meredith kind of being more of the face of the company.
Sure.
I've probably encountered a lot less of that.
Right.
But I think people are still surprised, and in the back of my mind, I also think, people might be thinking, well, why would this Chinese woman actually be feeding our kids?
Right, understood. So they don't compute that you might want to do something good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Chinese people stereotypically are focused on their own rice bowl. Is that right? Yes. So tell me what this group means to you. I mean, when you look at all these women, Maori, Pacifica, Asian, Iranian, French, Canadian, joining this group, and you're going to meet them all and be part of a network with them.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Well, I think when I first saw the list of all of these founding members, oh my gosh, there's so many of them, and just what they do is amazing. And
Did you look at them and think, gee, I don't know any of these people?
Half of them.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And first of all, they're all women.
Yeah.
You're just going, wow, I can't believe there are so many women who are running their own businesses, doing all these amazing things.
Precisely. It makes you feel a bit stronger, actually, because, I think quite often in our lives it's quite lonely. You think, oh, okay, I'm the only person doing this. Actually, it's not true, Lisa. Yeah, the list is pretty amazing. And it's growing. We did a soft launch and we got 10 more. And look at the 10 we got.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
No, it's been amazing. And I mean, I've met you. But to know that there are so many other women doing the same thing and achieving in their fields and what they do.
We're going to change the stereotype.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah.
So that when they come to the room, they say, "Oh, you're a Chinese woman, you must be in charge."
Yeah.
Now, when that happens, you and I shall both retire.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you look at a group like that, what do you think the potential is?
I think it's massive, and I just think it goes to the brain power, the thinking, and the diversity of ideas and what they must bring to those organisations and groups is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to tell you that through doing these interviews, what I've most enjoyed is the fact that it doesn't matter what colour they are. They've all had the same journey because they are coloured. And so, whether it's Maori or Pacifica, we have so much in common because we've walked this journey, you see. And when you get this intersectionality between gender and race, it's quite hard.
Yeah.
And they've all had quite a hard road. And so the woman who was sitting in that seat just before you, who's also the CEO of her own company, was saying that it's so hard because wherever she goes, people say, "Oh, could I have a beer?" Yeah, I part of the wait staff,
Yeah.
And she's there as a guest, but it's It's an ongoing story.
It is. And even these days, we have volunteers who come in and make the lunches, and
Sure.
sometimes I'll stand next to them and
Yeah.
so, are you volunteering here too?
I love it. I love
what
it.
do you do?
Yeah, what do you do? I founded the company.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so in terms of being a role model for those coming through, what do you think the value of that is?
And it's interesting, I don't think I ever think of myself as a role model.
No, but if you think about your own journey, would it have been good to have somebody look like you doing what you were doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And almost kind of carving the way and going, it can be done. And, you don't have to kind of live with these stereotypes. Because I think quite often we're conditioned. And particularly, in a Chinese family, you're brought up to be respectful and not cause a scene and just, take it all in.
I think that you are much more obedient to those precepts than I am, probably.
Yeah.
Except you're a bit of a rebel deep down, I think.
Yeah. And as you go along, you kind of get used to being treated in a certain way, and it's not until you really think about it.
That is really pretty unacceptable.
Yeah.
It's true. So, in terms of the future, what are you trying to achieve? Because you're so young. I mean, even though I know that you're real age, because I'm Chinese too, so I can actually age you.
Yeah.
The reality is, what do you want to achieve? I mean, in 5 years' time and 10 years' time.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you'll settle this beast down, but I have to tell you, I mean, Jim Palmer's in year 22 and I'm still just very tired. It's just, the thing is, it's sometimes like running my dog, I just have to try and keep up with it, or
Yeah.
else you fall over.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on a personal level, I have a daughter, and she's Eurasian.
Oh, beautiful.
And so for her, there's a real personal objective around just showing her that she can do anything that she wants.
Does she feel good about the Asian side of her? Because I've got a Eurasian son, and it's really, the most important thing for me is to explain to him that the Asian bit is not the bad bit,
Yeah.
It's not the disadvantaged bit.
Never matter to
Yeah,
them.
no, that's excellent. Well, isn't that all we ever wanted?
Yeah. And they don't really talk about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's excellent.
we definitely, talk about some of the traditions and what happens in Asia, and you make sure she eats Asian food.
Does she look Asian?
Partly, yeah.
She does.
She looks a lot like me, so but I kind of don't want her to ever think that it's a barrier.
No,
For
it's
her.
important. It's important not. And also that when people are anti-Chinese or anti-foreigner, that it's aimed at her.
Yeah.
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 So, I mean, my son has taken some of what people have said against coloured people and immigrants quite personally.
Right.
And I think that's quite good, because it means that he understands it's part of his identity. Otherwise, he could just try and disappear into the Anglo-Saxon side of his personality.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in terms of Eat My Lunch, is that going to be your focus for the next 10 years?
Definitely for the next 5.
5,
I think.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's what they all say. Well, you might grow it to the size where you could sell it by then.
Yeah.
And then you can take that capital and do something else.
Exactly. Yeah.
So ultimately, what do you want to do in terms of changing the world?
Well, I mean, for Eat My Lunch, the big goal is just to make sure that no kid in New Zealand is going hungry, and when you're talking over 300,000 kids, trying to reach them across the country is a really big job. And
I still think you should also be trying to change kids' eating habits. I really do.
Absolutely.
Convert them more to vegetables and
Yeah, and we're definitely trying to do that intrinsically as what we're giving them, and exposing them to different foods every day.
Great.
So what they're eating is super healthy and it's varied. So that's kind of like a hidden agenda within what we're doing. I think we're also looking at what are the other opportunities out of food, fresh food and lunches.
Understood. How do you build on that? How do you leverage off it?
Yeah.
That's right. And a growing customer base. I mean, having all of those details is pretty useful and valuable from a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
So where does this desire to help New Zealanders come from? Where does it come from?
I think it actually probably comes from my parents.
You've
And
always just wanted to serve.
And my mum was really actively involved in helping immigrants come to New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
So she would help them with their visas or with their housing, provide jobs and things like that for them. And at the time, I kind of never really understood why.
Sure.
And now, yeah, just this, I think the responsibility and feeling like I am in a position where I should be helping those who aren't as fortunate.
Well, we're very fortunate that you came to New Zealand, my dear, and we should eat my luncheon as a corporate member, and we should make sure that we profile this. Thank you very much.